The murder of world champion athlete Agnes Tirop in a suspected case of domestic violence has sent shockwaves around my homeland, Kenya.
Girls like Agnes get killed every single day. It happens in every single village.
Since the COVID lockdown, there has been a staggering increase in reports of violence against women and children.
You are rapist.
We're looking at people who have been slashed, people who have been stabbed, people who have been beaten black and blue. They're running for their lives.
I want to find out just how deep the problem lies. And what can be done to remove this poison from our society.
Hiyo panga ilikuwa ya kichwa. Mtoto akaidukia akagonga na kichwa yake, mtoto na akakufa hapo hapo.
Kenyans pride themselves on their family values. But recently, another side to the story has come to light. I've always been shaken by cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And over the years, I've seen it become increasingly extreme. How do you move from loving and starting a family with somebody to attacking them or even killing them? As a former crime reporter, I've covered so many murders, I've almost become immune to scenes of violence. But most of the victims I witnessed were young men, many of them involved in crime themselves. But in Kenya, many cases of violence also happen in the home, committed by men against women. According to a hotline run by Health Assistance Kenya, there was a 300% increase in reports of violence against women and girls during the first 2 weeks of COVID lockdown. It has become known as Kenya's hidden epidemic. I'm traveling to Meru County in the heart of central Kenya, where I've heard of a particularly horrific case which appears to bear the typical hallmarks of sexual and gender-based violence. And its viciousness has shocked the community. Mary Mugambi agreed to meet me at the home she shares with her mother and children. It's been 5 months since her ordeal happened, and it's obvious the scars have not yet healed.
Anaona kama mnataka kuniumiza. Si ati ni kulala nataka.
Kuna wasiwasi.
Mtu alikuwepo hawezi sahau.
In early 2020, she was living as a single mother, hoping to build a life for herself and her 3 kids. But her ex-husband, Boniface Murimi, father to 2 of her children, moved in nearby.
Sikuwa najua kuna nia ya ubaya. Alikuwa ananiongeleshana na mimi turundiane, na mimi sikuwa nataka turundiane na yeye, njua hataki kusaidia watoto. Sasa mimi nikasema hapana, mimi afadhali nikae peke yangu ili niweze saidia watoto wangu.
Late one night, she says Murimi turned up at her house.
Akakuja akaingia, niliamkia ameshika panga. Nikamuuliza ni nini shinda na hatukuwa tumeteta na yeye. Saa hakuniongelesha na hakujibu hata swali. Akaanza kunikatakata, alianzia hata mguu. Akanikata 2 ya mguu, akanikata 1 ya mkono. Mtoto huyo msichana akaona hivyo, akaamka. Kuamka mtoto akakuta nimekatakata na damu ilikuwa imetapakaa kwa nyumba. Sasa ndio mtoto kwenda, hiyo panga ilikuwa ya kichwa. Mtoto akaidukia akagonga na kichwa yake, mtoto na akakufa hapo hapo.
Mary's daughter was just 6 years old.
Mtoto ana makosa. Wenye walikuja kuona vyenye mtoto ameanguka na mimi nilikuwa nimekatwa mbaya, walikuwa wanatoka wanaenda wakiwa wanapiga ndulu.
The life-threatening blows to her legs, arm, and stomach left Mary unable to walk, struggling to care for her 2 remaining children. Her 2-year-old son witnessed the attack. Na mtoto
kama umemstua hivi, hata saa zingine anagonjeka, tunapeleka hospitali. Hakuwa nataka munikaribia juu yenye aliona babake akifanya.
Pole. Zewe, mbona mtu anaweza fanya kitu kama hiyo? Nisi kitu nafaa ifanyike. I've never felt so sad. When we got here, the kid was about the age of my son. You know, was trying to protect his mother because he's still traumatized by what he saw that night. And so now the boy is afraid of any man who comes close to his mother. And I am left without words. While Mary's story is shocking, it's by no means isolated. According to Kenya's Demographic and Health Survey, 40% of Kenyan women, married or once married, have suffered physical or sexual violence. I discovered that Mary's ex-husband, Murimi, was arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm and murder. He denies both charges. But Murimi might not be facing prosecution at all, if not for the actions of his own brother, Peter.
My brother huyo sasa the alleged akanipigia simu. Nikamuuliza uko wapi? Akaniambia nimejificha mahali kichakani. Mahali huko wewe kaa hapo na usijaribu kutoka mpaka nitakapofika nikuchukue. Akatukaangiri na yeye hivyo. Tukasema sasa acha tuende.
It is common in cases like this for families to close ranks and protect their own. But Peter took a brave decision.
Nikaambia ndani kile tutafanya hapa. Huyu kama ameua, the best thing ni tumpatiane kwa mikono ya polisi. Nikaenda police station hapo tu nikarudi nikamwambia sasa huyu alifanya mambo ni my brother. Na nimecommunicate naye, mnaweza nisaidia ili muarrest. Nikampigia my brother simu nikamwambia we kuja sasa tuende. Alipokuja akidhani anakuja tuende, sasa OCS akamchukua akapeleka cell hapo Mkobo police station.
Ni kama ulimdanganya.
Ni kama nilimdanganya, na nilikuwa nataka akitendeke aswa ya huyo mtoto.
But Peter's actions came at a heavy price. Wewe umesalimisha ndugu yako kwa polisi.
Yes.
Babako alisema nini?
hapo shida zangu zilikawa mingi. Kando na kuwa mimi nimebaki na hakuna mtu wa familia hata anajiassociate na mimi.
Na sasa familia venye inakufanyia, unafeel ni kama
hii kutengwa na familia, sijui ni kwa nini waliamua kufanya hivyo. Najisi mimi ni kama orphan.
Despite everything, Peter has no regrets.
Ningerundia. Kifo cha mtoto ni kifo chungu sana.
I admire Peter for taking a stand. But I want to find out what it is that drives men to inflict such terrible violence, often on women they once loved. We are heading to the Jacaranda grounds in Soweto, where I've been invited by the Jacaranda social movement to take part in a discussion about sexual and gender-based violence. This topic is a taboo subject in the country, and most men shy away from even discussing it with their friends. We are hoping this group of men is going to open up about it. Kuna wakati wote kupiga mwanamke inakubaliwa ama iko justified.
In an African culture, wife beating ni kama initiation ceremony. When you are newly married, lazima kule slaps ama belts so that heshima ianzie hapo sasa. Unless you do that, an African woman will not respect you.
How regularly do you...
How regularly? Once, at least once. You just mark the territory once. So that next time ukimwambia mimi nitakugonga anajua unagonganga.
Nyanyangu alisema msichana ukiwa nayo kwa nyumba ama bibi lazima juu unaweza kuwa polite, ajue weak point yake. Huyu mwanamume wangu yule ni mwenye hata nikimkosea atafanya kitu. Sasa nyanyangu aliniambia dawa si ya kumpiga vile watu wanampiga kukufa. Dawa ni kudiscipline. Ukitaka kudiscipline mpige, mchape. Wacha siku yenye kazi yangu iliisha. Bibi aliniambia unajua mimi ndio nakulisha saa hizi Na unajua hiyo wakati mimi ndio nalipa rent bado. Sisi mcontrol. Kama mimi ni mmoja wa kupiga bibi.
There were only a few opposing voices arguing to treat women with respect.
Na wanawake ni wazuri. Mimi I'm 13 years in marriage. I don't need to beat my woman to respect me. Women are the best people we can have in this world. Mwanaume, take your position as a man. Si mwanaume kuvaa longi. A man who fights the woman, that's a coward.
I have learned a lot. Many people have opened up to using violence in their domestic issues. Some of the things that they were saying I did not know existed. For example, there is a clash between the traditional way of thinking, where they assume the women will be submissive, and the women who have been empowered with education want to play a role in the union. The men claim that the women are also disrespectful because they earn some money, and that's causing the clash. Like many of these men, I also grew up in a poor area of Nairobi. But I was never exposed to the kind of violence many of them described. Now I am raising children of my own. I fear for them growing up in a world where violence against women and girls is almost accepted, and where victims are struggling for justice. It's estimated that only 3% of domestic attacks are ever reported to the police. I've been told officers often ask for bribes, and cases can take years to process. It's not surprising that many women have lost faith in the system. But I found one woman fighting back for the victims.
If you spend the day with me, you'll see the number of calls we receive. And there are a lot. Because we haven't really advertised our number. because the calls are overwhelming as it is.
Having suffered 15 years of domestic violence herself, Njeri Migwi helped set up Usikimia in 2019 to support victims of sex and gender-based violence. She's had a tip-off from a local hospital about abuse that's affecting not just the wife, but the whole family.
The child is unable to go to school because she's unable to poop because she's been sodomized. The children, they will always be the victims. They are the people who are held in the crossfire between adults.
Why are all these people coming to you for help?
Maybe because they don't have anywhere else they can seek for help. Or maybe for them they feel like I am the one person who can help them. Or the organization Usikimia.
Knowing there's a dangerous predator at large, Njeri sets out to warn the neighborhood and has alerted the local police.
Unaweza kuwa na namba yake? Anapa simu, mtu wako hata sija kumkaribia, ni mtu mbaya. Ni sawa. Alishika mtoto pahali, mtoto mdogo. So ndio maana tunamtafuta. Sasa unaona ni mtu hata wewe mtoto wako anaweza shika. Ndio nakwambia, unaweza nipatia namba yako na mimi nikupatie namba yangu. Alafu akitokelezea, tunajua hata anaweza tokelezea usiku. Tuma message.
What's going to happen now that the alleged perpetrator has not been arrested?
We have to keep an eye on him. I have left the neighbors with my calling cards. I'm hoping when they see him, they're going to give us a call. And I'm also hoping that the police will keep an eye out for him.
To meet the growing need, Njeri has started a safe house where survivors of domestic violence can recover and start putting their lives back together.
When you come here, you're looking at people who have been slashed, people who've been stabbed, people who've been beaten black and blue. They're survivors of rape, they're survivors of domestic abuse, or they're running for their lives. They have nowhere else to go. At any time, sometimes this place looks like a hospital. This is our lounge where, they rest. So these are books for kids. We try and keep them busy as possible. This is just one of the bedrooms.
Oh, okay. What's this?
We have sewing lessons every Friday and Saturday. Yeah.
Since the pandemic began around 2 years ago, Njeri has helped over 450 cases of gender-based violence. The sheer numbers seem to be overwhelming her.
Right now as I'm talking to you, I can tell you I have over 10, 15 missed calls. They all demand my attention. I'm one person. How many people can I protect? This is so hopeless.
Sounds like the dam has burst.
Yeah.
Even while we are chatting, yet another victim arrives seeking Njeri's help. To protect her identity, we will call her Gina.
Kukuote akimsukuma kaanguka. Ama ni kufura? Ni kitu
na simu, nimetoka town nikakuja na simu smartphone. Nataka ndio hii simu wapi sijui nini, akaninyanga. Si hapo ndio alinigongea.
She also says her attacker has been abusing her child.
Alimwambia
hata sasa mtoto atakwambia baba ananifanyaga kwa tani. Si yake. Nikamwambia hapana. Si mimi yako. Akaniita kwa masikio. Ati na tusiko wawili kwa nyumba. Sasa najaribu kumfurahisha.
Lakini anaogopa.
Anaogopa.
The next day, with Njeri for support, Gina agrees to go to the police station to report the abuse. But it's a long and tiring process, especially for someone in a state of trauma. I've learned how painstakingly slow it is for victims of sexual and gender-based violence to start the process of justice. It has taken a whole day of going from office to office to get one suspect out of the dozens of reports arrested. Eventually, the police do turn up with the suspect. It's encouraging that Gina has had the bravery to speak out and report the abuse. But I can't help wondering whether she would have got the same result from the police without Njeri and the cameras present. And this is only the first hurdle.
We are now going to go to what is the court process. That will take years, maybe 2-3 years, so most people get tired along the way. Sometimes the perpetrator is already out on bond and is threatening them, so that sometimes is not helpful at all.
Does that leave many of the victims scared and uncertain about the success of the process?
It's terrifying, it's scary. And the perpetrator will of course threaten you, and most people tend not to show up in court. So I wish there was shorter time to finish the court cases, like let's say 3 months, 6 months, so that this case is closed while it is still fresh for the victims, and so that the victims can stop living with fear.
While making this film, many survivors have told me that police inaction and even corruption are the key reasons they haven't reported the violence. It's an accusation I want to put to the police themselves. Many women we've spoken to while making this documentary complained that they're being asked for bribes to get help. Are you surprised by this?
I don't think surprise is the right word. It is a crime to solicit or ask for bribes to receive a service that is free. I would advise any person who has such information, we have reporting mechanisms.
What have you done to improve access to justice for victims and survivors of SDVV?
We came with a toll-free line, specifically dedicated to issues of sexual and gender-based violence. We had to do a lot of training and ensure that each police station have a gender desk that deals specifically with issues of GBV. There is a concept that is coming up. It's called Polycare. It is a one-stop center where a survivor will report. They will see a doctor there. They will have a forensic person there. They will have psychosocial support.
Victims will be watching this. Why will they believe they'll be treated differently now?
I'm encouraging any survivor of GBV. We have changed as police officers. Do not suffer in silence. Come out and report. Because when you report, we are also going to stop this the perpetrator doing it to another person. Come up, put your complaint forward, and it will be taken care of.
The words of the officer are encouraging, but I've heard many promises about the police changing over the years. The hard truth is that for many survivors of gender-based violence, the struggle to recover and get justice is one they must often fight alone. I wanted to catch up with Mary in Meru. She's still suffering from the attack that left her fighting for her life and that killed her daughter. But she's getting physiotherapy to help speed her recovery. Sasa Mary, nasikiaje?
Nje vidole
zinainama, lakini ni venye yesi kunjana.
You see, she can't press completely because of the problem of the fracture.
Well-wishers have rallied round to pay for the therapy. Mary has received no support from the state.
Maisha ilikuwa ngumu sana. Afadhali angekuja. Afadhali ningehurumia watoto wangu peke yangu.
While physical injuries might heal with time, the emotional pain will always be there.
Elezeaje nini ilifanyika? Atasahau saa hii kidogo.
Hata kijana akisahau, si ataona kaburi ya sister yake.
Making this film has been an intense and painful journey. I feel deeply sad as a man that so many horrific crimes are committed by other men against women and children with little chance of justice. There are many reasons for this hidden epidemic, but we as men cannot hide from our duty. Maybe as friends, relatives, or even neighbors, we can all take responsibility and act against this violence. As a society, we must face up to what is happening and all play our part to uproot this evil.